is also true. And this is the first magic trick I ever showed to strangers. It was in 8th grade. I was at a conference. It was a young leader something or another conference at a hotel. Whole weekend trip, 4-day weekend. Got to get out of school. And it was a group of like 1,000 people in a hotel when we split up and worked on leadership skills. Confidence, presentation skills, all these skills that you need to be a leader, right? And at the end of the week, they had a talent show. Now, I was into magic then, but I was shy, and I didn't want to perform. But I bought into the system that the conference was teaching me, and I built up my confidence. And I decided to try out. And so I went to the tryout. It was in front of one judge. I had her pick a card, and then I had the card rise from the deck. She freaked out, best trick she ever seen. Immediately I was on the talent show. Now, like any person, I practiced and practiced because I was going to be in front of 1,000 people. So I practiced and practiced. And about an hour before the show started, I started to realize the trick wasn't working. It was more of a 50-50 shot if the card would rise or not. But I thought, let's go for it, right? So the talent show began. All the talents were good. And then they said, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jagacki at that time, with the magic trick. And I walked on stage with my cards. I had a lady from the audience join me. I fanned the cards, asked her to choose a card. I was so nervous, 1,000 people. It was a big, dining room in a hotel. She picked the card. I said, show it to the audience. I knew. Most of them couldn't see it. And then I had her put the card back, I put it in the box, and I had her hold it. And I did an illusionist move. But in this moment, the audience experienced the best acting they had ever seen. Because in this moment, I was praying for that card to rise. If I had ESP, this would be the time to use it, because I was focusing on that card and trying to make it rise, doing anything I could. And then once, a minute of silence, I peeled my eyes open, and I saw the girl staring back at me. And then I opened my eyes fully and saw the deck had not changed. I looked in the audience, and a bunch of blank stares. I was like a deer in headlights. I reached into the microphone and said, I guess the magic isn't with us tonight. And I walked off stage. And that's a true story. That's the first trick I ever did in front of strangers. And it sat with me for my whole life, really. So tonight, although it is a card trick and a little bit corny, I would like to redeem this trick and put it to rest in my mind. So, if we could have the closest lady to where this frisbee landed come up. The closest lady, please. Didn't go for it. You can pass it to someone else. If you could come up, ma'am.
Miss Joseph.
Ladies and gentlemen, Valerie. Valerie, I would like you to choose a card to scrap on half. Good. And I want you to show it to the audience. Don't show me. Show it to the audience. And if everyone in the audience could imagine a time when they failed and portray it on the card. If you could imagine that instant when you failed, like me, and portray it on the card, and get those emotions in your mind. Build them up in your mind. Make the picture of your failure vivid. Okay, Valerie? Step back here. You could place the card back. Good. Now, everyone thinking of their failure, I'm going to ask Valerie to hold the deck. Nice and tight. Think of that failure you had. Think of that instance when you embarrassed yourself. And just let it float away. Unfortunately for me, the trick didn't end there with my story with my failure. Eric, if you can get a camera. The trick did not end there for me, though, because as I exited the stage, all I could think about was those blank stares I had received back. That's all I could think about. And I didn't go back to my original seat in the front. I went to the back corner because I didn't want anyone to see me. But there was this one kid who just kept looking at me. And I was so embarrassed. And every time he looked at me, it made it much worse. I didn't cry, but I was close to it. This was the first time I ever performed, and I had failed. Of course I would be sad. And I tore myself up. There we go. I tore myself up. But then I went back to my hotel room, and I realized I need to practice more. So I went back to my hotel room, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced all night, basically. And I felt much better. As I practiced and practiced, I felt so much better. And then I laid in my bed that night, and I thought about what had just happened. And I realized that I didn't know any of these people. None of them were for school. I would never see these people again. They probably didn't even know my name. And it made me feel a little better about myself. But then I didn't end there. It didn't end there. I still felt terrible. I still had that failure, that missing piece. And on the car ride, I talked to my dad about my failure, and I realized the most important thing. I hadn't failed. I got in front of 1,000 people, something I would never do. And I performed. Although I failed, I succeeded in conquering my fear and getting in front of people. And here I am today. I'm going to give this to someone. I just want them to count up what won the votes. Now I'm going to give you a chance to make a random decision. I like to think that failure I had on stage in front of 1,000 people was a random act, that it wasn't my fault. So I'd like you to try and make a random decision. I'm going to get 6 men up here. 6 men? Can we get 6 men up here? Oh boy. 6 men.
No one
if you are a lady passenger near man. Come up here, 6 men, 6 men.
That's the most athletic ability I've seen from Jim. Retro baby. This guy's so big.
Jeff is the retro child.
Can I have the stickers? Can we set 1 step forward, please? Are we happy with this group? No.